Good evening, everyone. We are back. We have had quite a bit go on since we last was on. Lee will be joining me in a minute. Technical issues are stopping that. So I will start on really briefly talking about Bash in Berlin. This was a disappointing show, I think. I didn't really enjoy it. I know the people that I watched it didn't really enjoy it. It was okay. It wasn't anything special. Started off with the WWE title match, which again was a really bizarre start. This was okay, back and forth, probably one of the better matches of the evening. Yeah, it was kind of back and forth. Both wrestlers looked really good. Did massively good for Kevin Owens' stock, I think. But Cody did retain. Next up was Alba Fire and Isla Dawn against Bianca and Jade. Again, I can't really get excited for this match. It was what it was. It wasn't great. It wasn't pretty. It was just okay. Bianca and Jade did take back the titles, though. It's a bit of a weird one, the trajectory that they're putting Jade Cargill in. I don't know if they don't trust her on her own. It's really weird. She's been in this tag team ever since she joined. So that's a really bizarre one. It always leaves me thinking, what's going on?
Hello.
Hey! There we are.
Yes. I'll be there in a sec, Sam. I'll be there in a sec. Something will go right in a minute. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Right.
How are you?
I'm well stressed, Sam.
Oh, God.
So I'll just sort of show you my collapsed setup, right? I've got a stand all over here. I've got a thing that collapsed over there. Then the laptop doesn't want to play along. So nothing's gone right. But do you know what? I'm a professional broadcaster, obviously. So somehow or another, I'm going to get this attached to my stand from my phone. This will carry on working. It will. It will work.
Hey.
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
it. What new pieces of kit are you trying?
I've got a really snazzy mic. I've got a mic desk here.
Oh.
And
more advanced than mine now.
I know. It's just a shame it didn't work. And the little arm just collapsed just as I was about to hit a button.
Oh.
But I'm here now. It's all good. If you want to do a Simpsons reference, it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah, it'll be what it'll be. It'll work in time. It's just finding out to get it all sorted. Thankfully, mine's just a plug into a USB slot and go. I didn't really have to do a great deal. So,
that's the rock and roll lifestyle you live, mate.
So I was just going through Bash in Berlin and just saying how disappointed I was at it.
Okay.
I had got to the CM Punk and Drew match, which was I can't remember what they call it now, where you've got to hit 3 out of 4 the turnbuckles. Yeah, I can't. There's an actual name for it. I should have probably written that down.
Wasn't it a strap match or something?
That's it. No, strap match was the last one, I think.
Okay. It was just a 4 corners sort of tap the turnbuckle thing. There we go. That's what we'll call
it. I get the correct term. Oh no, it was a strap match. So
there you go.
I don't know what
I'm talking about.
It was a strap match, but it was more about touching the 4 corners. Not a big fan of them. I don't think that exciting. I don't think it
No.
really excites anyone, to be honest.
No.
It is what it
It
is.
extends the views, doesn't it? It extends the feud.
Yeah. I think it would have been better, and I think this is where they might take it next. Maybe like a Hell in a Cell or Falls Count Anywhere, or like something along those lines. I think they've done their just normal singles match now. They've done their different stipulation, and I think now it's time to pardon the pun and say go all in. So yeah,
someone's been reading my joke book.
Yeah.
Even my Google searches aren't working right at the minute. This is how well this is going.
To be honest, it's better to play around with it now and then find out how it all works for a stream on Gooner Gathering rather than
absolutely, which you can subscribe to now because we are ultra professional.
So we had the big build up in terms of the Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Dom and Liv in the tag match. Everybody seemed to be really, really excited about it, but can you guess what I'm going to say? I wasn't.
You weren't?
Yeah.
Mr. Positivity. It's like I'm working with a certain Boss Bertie, I tell you.
Oh, it's the women's. It's the Arsenal women's. They did that to me. They sucked all the positivity out of me.
Okay, at least it wasn't Lee Carsley then, no.
So the video is half saying that we won, but then half saying I really don't like the football we're playing. So that's going to be an interesting one for people. It's not going to be like Matt's ever optimistic video.
Yeah, absolutely, bless him.
So in this match, it was a couple of weeks ago, and I can't really remember massive amounts that went on, which is fantastic. I know as a host, but I have got notes that the Judgment Day were about to take over the match, but Damian Priest managed to wipe out the rest of the Judgment Day that weren't in the match, and then Rhea hit Liv with a riptide to win the match. And then this next one has a story attached to it. After the last match, after the CM Punk match on the actual day, I said to Devon, I said, right, that's it. I can't really watch the rest of it, so I'll watch the rest tomorrow. So I woke up and I watched the Rhea Ripley and the tag match, and then I went on to Gunther and Randy Orton. I watched the first 5 minutes and then woke up when Gunther retained the title. So
is that the Randy Orton match syndrome? Is it? You don't like the old rest hold, no?
No, see, I really was all for Randy Orton winning it and being 15-time, but
what planet was that on then?
Yeah, so I was really hoping, because as over the last couple of weeks, I haven't been the biggest fan of Gunther's mic work. I can't fault his wrestling; it's amazing, but his mic work to me is very boring. So I wanted him to lose. So
shall we give him a little bit of leeway? Bear in mind, it's probably not his native tongue, is it?
Yeah, well, it's about as native as him being from Germany, isn't it? When he's from Austria,
right? Okay. You know, on technicalities with the WWE geography department, I am aware.
Yeah, it's a completely different country, but we'll go past that. So yeah, I didn't see this match. I had to go completely on my good old friend that is Bleacher Report, that if I didn't have that, I don't think this channel would exist. It gives you a nice rundown of the matches and a grade and everything like that. Little bullet points for the cool bits that happened. So yeah, it saved my life on the daily. So it was a very physical matchup, as you can kind of work out for yourself. Randy Orton dominated a lot of the match. Gunther took a big bump through the announce table, but he was then dragged back into the ring, where he hit a sleeper hole on Randy to turn the tide, with Randy Orton passing out for him to pick the win. So that was that.
Nice little moment at the end of that match, Sam, which I think it's probably like a passing of the torch kind of moment there, where they sort of shook hands at the end of it, which I thought was quite good.
Yeah, maybe. I still hope Randy does win a title before he leaves. I think it's fitting for him to do something like that before he finishes up.
Maybe he can win a title against John Cena next year's WrestleMania. That'd be fun, right?
Maybe they can just make one up just for that match.
The Prestige Championship, the John Cena Retirement Funds Championship,
the Best of the Generation Championship. That's one out there.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's that. So I was going to start the show on a little bit talking about the experience that we had at Wembley Stadium. I know we spoke. It was really good. It seems like months and months and months ago now, even though it's a couple of weeks.
Doesn't to me, mate. I keep on looking back at some of them photos and say that really happened.
Yeah,
and my good mate Tom's done the Great North Run today.
Yeah, I did see that actually, and I did see that they put a video up on their Patreon as to why they had those WWE stand up for WWE shirts. You can probably now tell us what that video actually was.
I think I'll wait till it's on YouTube, but it was
okay. So it will come on YouTube eventually. You think
it will come up on YouTube eventually? Yeah. What I will say, I think it was all part of a. You know when they do these special events and they do these sort of challenges and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it'll be fair to say it was amongst one of these challenges that the lads had, and for me to be standing up in the back row of a Cultaholic challenge video is a bit weird. But it's one ticked off my bucket list.
Yeah, because I suppose you get so used to watching it like on YouTube that actually when you're standing there, you're like, oh, it's a little bit like that of an Arsenal channel that we won't mention the name of.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit like that when I stood around that for the first time. You kind of like, I've got so used to watching it is the big thing.
Yeah.
Got so used to watching this online that it feels a little bit weird when you're amongst it. It doesn't quite feel, I don't know, it didn't quite feel real for a little while, and then you kind of get used to it a little bit, and then it becomes normal.
The funny thing was, Sam, was when I think it's only fun that we talk and tell the story of how it all came about, because it's quite hilarious how it all planned out. Now, I hadn't been to Wembley on my own ever. It's always been my dad taking me up there, so this was quite a new experience for me. And I went on the guidance of the TfL website, the Traffic for London website, which suggested to me get off the underground at Baker Street, take an overground train through to Wembley Stadium. So I've come out a completely different end of the stadium to where Sam was. And so I'm off the train. I'm sort of slowly walking around. Must have been Wembley Way or a bit of Wembley Way. And we were trying to establish where we were. We had the phones out. We were sending pictures of a certain hotel that was around. And it's like we couldn't figure out where we were. We eventually got the technology working so we could sort of find our location. So, okay, right, you stay there. I'll come to you. And I thought, well, it looks like, say if I'm at the east stand, you're over at the west, or wherever it was. So I had to do a bit of walking. I think the amount of miles we did on our legs that day were extraordinary. But it's okay, because as I'm walking up and sort of minding my own business, I hear a voice. It's a voice of Sam Driver. That, all right, Lee. Oh, okay. So Sam Driver, obviously chief video editor over at Cultaholic and general nice bloke, was really kind enough to help me set up my Twitch stuff. before him and Andrew. Before I developed Gooner Gathering and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I it was quite weird. And then obviously Tom's there in the background, and I had such a lovely conversation with the pair of them, and it genuinely, I can't put into words just how much it meant to me. I mean, especially being with Tom. I've spoken about being on Love You By Fridays on the Cultaholic Twitch channel a few times, and just how much that sort of got me out of a bit of a low situation when I was away from everybody in the world and everything. It was a bit hard work and stuff, as you probably can tell. I'm very much a people person, and yeah, it was a bit of a weird time, and just being around, appearing online on that show, and just generally talking wrestling like we do here is quite fun. And so yeah, it was an interesting 0 hour, trying to meet up for the 0 hour.
Yeah, it was just it was like it's weird just how these things work sometimes. I remember speaking about that and just saying, actually, it almost happened for a reason, because if you had got off at Wembley Park's tube station, you would have missed that whole experience of that moment and stuff. So yeah, I don't think we need to talk about 0 hour. It wasn't.
Sure you don't want to talk about the 50-odd man chuck everyone on the card in the ring match? No,
I think seeing that myself was more than enough than I ever need of that again.
There's one thing I want to talk about in all seriousness about that, and it's generally because of the vintage of age that I am. And if you told me, like last year, you'd be watching a wrestling show at Wembley Stadium and you'd be watching the artist formerly known as Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, in the middle of the ring right in front of you, I think you'd be lying. If I said you'd be meeting Cultaholic, I think you're lying. That was an experience for me. And I got a message off Dustin actually on Twitter. So that was pretty cool. I just mingle with the celebs like I do.
Yeah, obviously.
A-list Lee Meadows. That's me.
We had to fight off the crowds of people, didn't we? That wanted our autograph and pictures and stuff. We had to fight.
Do you know what? It's luckily I've got that wrestling trainee in me.
Mm-hmm. We had to literally.
Stunner.
Yeah, it was. We couldn't even sit down for the people that were saying, "Oh, I know you two." Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're in loads of it. So yeah, I've picked some of my favorite moments from the pay-per-view. I'm going to start because watching back, I didn't really enjoy the ladder match when I was in the stadium. I think we were a bit wrestling multi-man. Yeah, we were too high, but I also think we were a bit multi-manned
high in the stadium, nothing else. Stop it, people.
So we were a little bit high in the stadium, but then I think we'd seen that many like trios and whatever it was matches before that we were a little bit fatigued of the how's it going? It's going now. It wasn't to start off with, but it is now. How are you? So yeah, I watched back that 4-way ladder match, and actually it was a really good match.
It's better on television, wasn't it?
It was much better on television because you could see what was going on.
Exactly. You could see what was going on. You could see where the belt was. You could see... This is the one with Christian Cage in it, isn't it? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. You could kind of see what he was doing right at the start of it. I remember pointing to... Look, Cage has just gone back up the ramp there. You could see... You knew that would play out into some sort of part of the story. Little did we know how deep the story would be during the show, but that was interesting to see. And I think some of the higher spots were better to watch on the screen as well. It just probably give it back to you to talk about a little bit.
A screen that we couldn't see. We had a screen on the side, so we had to kind of go like that to find out what was on the screen. And then we also had a screen at the other end of the stadium that we couldn't see a bit of because there were bright flashing lights all over it. So we couldn't see a single thing from that one either.
Good
So
job, production. Well done.
Yeah, that was. I saw everybody talking about, oh, how amazing the production was, but not sure it was that great for us because last year there was a screen on every side of the ring at the top. So whereas there was only 2 this time. So the poor people that had paid £300 for or more for seats at the bottom, and there was a 7 foot tall person in front of them, wouldn't have seen the ring or the screen. So
can't teach that.
So the next thing I think that is quite a funny story that I'll hold is in the Chris Jericho match. So we had I wasn't that excited for it. I was even more or less excited.
You were. Yes, you were. You wanted to sing Judas.
Yeah, I did, but then that didn't happen. So then I was like, that was like a little sucker punch. So
yeah,
after that, I wasn't really bothered. So the match went on, and there was a certain spot where we thought, what's that we put on the floor? And I don't know,
yes,
I don't know whether it was me or you that said it. I don't know who said it, or whether it was the people next to us, or who it was.
Apples.
But it was apples. We were convinced with the learning tree reference, with the tree and the apples, like it made sense.
It did.
So we were convinced that this is the first time we'd ever seen this before in the wrestling ring, that they were throwing apples at each other. And
it's a good version of the core.
So I watched back the pay-per-view on the TV the following Thursday. And
it took you to realise.
It wasn't. I saw it on social media, I think, a couple of days after. And what we were convinced were apples were actually cricket balls.
Can I just say it did translate onto television? It looked like, I don't know, big shout out Wrestling with Regret. Brian Zane doing his review said exactly the same thing, watching it on the television.
Yeah. So, and then we get the reference because cricket, I don't really get why cricket is a British thing anyway, because it's not really. Like,
you ask Posh Bertie, it's a very traditional posh person, English, old watto, jolly good show, everybody.
Oh yeah, I know we're quite good at it, but I don't know whether cricket originated in this country or not.
Oh yeah, I can hear the tapping of a screen. Hey Google, where did cricket originate?
Maybe it did originate here. We'll just.
I thought it might.
Yeah. So yeah, I get that.
I just thought I'd leave it because I was a bit stumped.
We should have.
I've got on my little voice. I've got a little like canned applause in there as well. I would have used it
then. So yeah, that was that one. A couple of other things. I think the MJF and Will Ospreay match is really good. I still need to watch that back. I've only watched.
That was awesome. Really fun.
I've only watched. I'm on the Casino Gauntlet at the minute because so much has been happening that I've been needing to catch up on other stuff. So I will get to it eventually. Yeah. That was really good. Obviously, we were all convinced that it was going to be an MJF win, but it wasn't. Will brought it home, as you could say, and changed it back to the International Championship. So that was
what we didn't realise is who was in the ring presenting the belt back to him, because we couldn't see. Christopher Daniels was in the ring. Only one of the biggest talents in the whole of the wrestling business, and we couldn't even see him.
So, I missed out a bit. I've actually missed out a bit as well, thinking about it. I think the moment where Taz got involved, that was a.
Oh yeah, that was nice. The old Taz mission and the spot in the ring as well. The double choke out was fun. And do you know what else was fun as well? How I popped about Jeff Jarrett coming down the ring. What we breezed over, I didn't realise at the time, is that Jarrett was already seen on television and 0 Hour doing them on the pre-show panel.
Oh, So we
you
could have
go.
guessed that anyway.
There you go. Amy's great.
So then we had the Casino Gauntlet, the returns that were really good. Nigel McGuinness got probably one of the biggest pops of the night coming out.
And not only that, that entrance triggered the reunion of Oasis. It did.
Yeah, that was it. It's all Nigel McGuinness. So
I said maybe.
there was Hangman coming back.
Yeah.
There was Ricochet debut. There was
that was fun. Seeing Ricochet doing his thing.
It was the worst kept secret, but it still was. It's still, the atmosphere is amazing for it. Zack Sabre Jr. I think they were the big ones.
Yeah, I don't think you've missed anything big there.
But then Christian Cage kind of won it, and that was kind of a moment.
Well, that was a storyline moment, because we were missing the on the big screen. The last entry was Luchasaurus, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh no, obviously they've just lost the tag titles. Thank you, Amy. I'll get rid of that for you in a second. All right. Wrestle Dog debut for Amy. My little dog. So they've lost the thing, and you wondered with maybe finally they're going to pull the trigger on a bit of a switch here. Maybe they're going to finally break up and everything. But no, I think it was basically one choke slam from Luchasaurus and let Christian get the win.
I think somebody in the back did a bit of a boo-boo there, as we would call it.
Yeah.
I think that was a not so great moment for them. Talking of not so great things, there was a cart on the side of the stage which looked like it had been stolen from a museum. It looked like it was going to fall apart if anybody touched it.
Burying it.
And I remember saying, is it a horse and carriage for like the royal family, or what is it? But it was actually a Mercedes Moné entrance, which made it even worse.
At least she came down with corgis. At least there was a royal reference.
Wonderful. I was thrilled. So
that was your attitude the whole Mercedes matchup. Honestly, oh dear. I'm not saying she stunk the place out, but dear.
You could have heard a pin drop during that match. It was a weird.
Certainly up where we were. Yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. No.
It was weird. So the other thing, I think, so the coffin match was apparently cut short by 10 or 15 minutes because of the curfew that Wembley had. The match itself wasn't great. The Sting return was probably the best thing about that match by a mile.
That was awesome. That was fun. A bit weirdly staged, bit convoluted, wasn't it? But it was fun nonetheless.
It was. I think they did well. I think they did well turning down all of the lights in the stadium when it happened, because I think that was the only time they did it for the whole of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was the only lights out,
paid off. So that was really good. And then the main event, I'm sure you've all seen it. Probably one of the matches of the year. Probably one of the greatest matches that will go down in the history of AEW. So yeah, that was that.
What an emotional story that was as well, Sam, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Being there as well from where we were, and it just looked brutal.
Mm-hmm.
It looked absolutely brutal. To see Danielson's family there as well, and the sort of the clutching on, reaching out from the ring to his family. So I'm going to get there. As the way the storytelling went, we couldn't possibly justify or tell the whole story doing this. But
I don't.
There was certain spots that you're just like, oh my god, just stop it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think when we was in the arena that we fully appreciated it in that moment, what we were actually kind of seeing, and what we were witnessing. So I have watched some of that back. I do think that even though we took it for granted, I think it was.
I'm going to have to go for a second, mate, because Amy
Yeah,
needs me. All right,
that's
you carry
absolutely
on.
fine.
Just take that off. There you go.
All good. So even though we didn't really appreciate it, I thought the atmosphere during that match was amazing, and that's something that you can't really capture on TV. You kind of had to be there. So for that, I'm grateful I was able to see it. So the other pay-per-view of that weekend was NXT No Mercy. This was of that weekend. What am I on about? Of what I was talking about before, Bash in Berlin that weekend. So No Mercy was 600 times better than Bash in Berlin. Yeah, I enjoyed this pay-per-view very much. I didn't enjoy Bash in Berlin. So Axel and Nathan Fraser defeated Chase U. It was a fantastic back and forth match where both teams looked strong. After the match, Ridge Holland lost it and attacked Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne and Chase. Chase was taken out in an ambulance. So that was an interesting one. Wesley and Zachary Wentz. This was the match of the night for me, and potentially might go into one of my honourable mentions for the whole year. It was a real good match. Wesley was on top, went outside the ring to pick up Zachary's TNA X Division Championship belt. He threw it on the floor and then picked up a chair. Zachary was laid out by the ring post with his arm exposed as Wesley was about to hit him with the chair. But Trey Miguel stepped in to steal the chair from him. Zachary then hits an amazing Denver Destroyer / Canadian Destroyer. There was a mix-up on commentary, and he said, "I don't know what it is. It's one or the other." But everything's going on that I don't really know what I'm saying, or something along those lines, which I thought was quite cool, showing that they are humans and they're not like a robot that.
Yeah, they're not as professional as we are, Sam, but they have to sort of muddle through.
Yeah, they kind of look for our videos for inspiration, I would imagine. So
yeah, I would imagine
so. So yeah, he then hit a UFO cutter, which is an insane move. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Can't say I have, mate, but I'm going to pretend I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll put it in my tabs at the top just so I can get it after for you, because it is quite an impressive move. I've never really seen it before, so
okay.
So yeah, it looks like it's just his move by the looks of it. It's his finishing move. So that's cool. So moving on from that one, Kalani Jordan retained the Women's North American Championship against Wendy Chu. Wendy Chu. Coming over.
It's the little things that make me laugh.
Coming over very strong with nearly a submission win against Kalani Jordan. She then went into rage mode and went onto the second rope, did a senton, and then a split-legged moonsault for the victory. Tatum Paxley came in the end and choked her out. So Choo was no more, and that was in revenge for a couple of weeks ago. The North American Championship was retained by Obafemi. Tony D'Angelo, though, put him to his absolute limit to the point that we've not seen before with Obafemi. So that can only help, really, Tony D'Angelo. pleased they've kept the title on Obafemi though, because he is like this, to reference somebody else, like a beast upon men, a bit like Braun Strowman. But have I done that wrong?
I was just.
Have I done it wrong?
I don't know if you've done it wrong. You just froze on me for just a second, and this is probably a really bad point to freeze, because I have not seen this card at all, apart from the main event. So
no, that's all good.
Now we've got.
Monster Among Men.
That's it. Yeah,
Monster upon men. So I'm pleased they kept the title on him. But that was I think it certainly surprised me. I didn't know Tony D'Angelo had that in his locker. As many didn't know either. So it's good for him. Roxanne Perez retained the title against Jada Parker. It was a really good match, both really physical.
Quite a long run,
it'll do them. Yeah.
Long run with the title.
I think I think at the moment NXT have got this a problem, but an amazing problem to have is that they've got so many amazing female wrestlers that they don't quite know how to put them all in the picture together. So I imagine some of them will be going up just to give the others that aren't getting much of a run in a better show of things.
To have that with Jordan Grace coming up as well to defend her Knockouts title on NXT television is something a bit special as well. It shows how strong they are.
Yeah, so that was really good. Did lots for both of them. After the match, we had a debut from Julia from New Japan. It's Julia, not with a J, but with a G.
Right. Julia. So... Is that an Ali G reference?
I don't think I expected that one, to be honest, but I can see it. So then we had the main event.
Don't get cancelled, Lee. Stop it.
Which was quite a short match, to be honest, between Ethan Page and Joe Hendry, with obviously Trick Williams as the referee. He promised that he would call it down the middle, which he did. He got taken out by Ethan Page, and a new ref came running in. Right. Joe Hendry got dropped into the NXT title that was in the ring. But as the ref was counting the 1-2, Trick then jumped back in and stopped the count. There was an argument between Trick Williams and Ethan Page, which ended up with Ethan trying to hit Trick again, but he ducked and took out the new ref. As the new ref was on the outside, Trick then was looking on the outside rather than in the ring, and he missed the low blow from Ethan Page, which was followed up by his finisher to retain the title. And at the end, Pete Dunne grabbed Trick Williams and hit him with his finisher as well. So that's more.
Was he done for? Sorry.
There's
good way here. Just go serious just for a second. So I don't think there was any way that Hendry was going to win the title here. But again, for Hendry to be headlining a WWE NXT pay-per-view like it was, what a mini run this was. I do think perhaps this might be him wrapping up a little bit for the NXT run, just for the bit, because of course he's still under contract to TNA at least until the next year. But I wonder if the next time we see him on a WWE show might be in January at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I do think maybe you could go across to TNA and sort of start winning some championships over there in the meantime. So, yeah. But it's amazing how he's captivated everybody in a short space of time. I don't think I've known a wrestler go from unknown to a lot of people to known by everyone so quickly since I can remember. So
absolutely, I mean, he's made an incredible impact. He's done very well is making use of what he's extremely good at, and the way he's managed to go with his YouTube music videos and everything like that. He's all over Twitter as well. Any subtle little reference to his turn and all that, it's maybe a little corny, but I think it's hilarious. I think it's fun to watch. And
so the culmination in him being at a Wrestle Rave event in London last night, where he was on stage for quite a while, singing, talking about getting asked questions, talking about if he'd be at the Rumble, talking about lots of things. So that's to where it's got him.
I don't know if you'd see. I don't know how far you're up with their programming as well. Did you see? This may be before that match, perhaps. I think it probably was when they did a 6-man match with the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, I saw little bits about it. Yeah,
that was fun. In fact, he'd done the custom thing. I believe in Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and the way they incorporated both the themes, I thought it was really fun. That's what makes it fun to watch. Makes him over, doesn't it? It's embracing his gimmick, and he's so good at that.
I think it's something unique, isn't it? And that's why it's done so well. Is that it's so unique to him and the brand that he has, because I think that's the reason why he's as big as he is now, is the brand that he has himself away from the wrestling. Because I don't even think his success isn't from wrestling. He's quite good at the wrestling, but his success hasn't been from that. It's been from his personality, his brand, his entrance, his funny turnaround, everything just all put together, isn't it? So
it's a fantastic presentation. It's great to watch.
Yeah, and it's one of
someone who's known him watching him for so long, to see him elevate to where he is now. It's great.
It's one of those ones that stays in your head, and once you've sung it once, you're singing it all day. It's one of those annoying ones, but that's
Whether
good for the people.
In London, Paris, or Tokyo, America, Scotland, Canada. It could be anywhere.
I didn't hear that. So my favorite one was Booker T on NXT when he said when he was on NXT and he was asked about Joe Hendry, and he said, "Oh, I really like him," but he said, "The thing is, I've been singing his song in the shower, and that's a little bit worrying to me." So yeah, I thought that was really cool. So moving on to Raw and SmackDown before we go on to AEW type things. We have a new commentary team on Raw, which was quite cool. They started off the show with it. Wade Barrett came out and announced that it's good to be back, and a guy called Joe.
Just Joe
Tessitor.
You got more.
So apparently he has announced on every single sport possible, according to Wade Barrett, apart from the one that we call the wrestling. So now he's there. So it's quite cool to have somebody on the commentary team that maybe knows a little bit but doesn't know massive amounts. I think that's always quite cool. I think that's how Pat McAfee started. He started with a little bit of knowledge, but not a massive amount, and then we all grew to love him, and it'd be good to have him back when he comes back. So, like on both shows, there was a little bit of a recap of Bash in Berlin. It should have been a recap of NXT No Mercy, but we'll let him off. So, Liv came down to the ring, starts gloating about the win they got, calls Liv out to a title match, but instead out comes Dominic with the biggest black eye I have ever seen and the most bloodshot eye I have ever seen, which was quite cool for dramatic effect. So Rhea said to him, obviously he gets booed and not allowed to talk and stuff by the crowd. I think that's quite cool. Always thought that's quite cool. So Rhea said, "Why don't you go back there and get your little girlfriend before I give you another black eye," which I thought was really cool. Dom then went on to say that Liv is still recovering from what you did to her at Bash in Berlin. There was then lots of excuses from Dom, and he let Rhea know that Liv will accept the challenge of a title match that Rhea asked for as well. Liv then is actually in the building and blindsides them. Rhea's leg then gets trapped in the ring rope, so they can go to town, as they call it, on her leg. Damien Priest,
that explains that then. Okay, I wondered what happened to her because I'd seen her doing a segment off camera with Jey Uso, but with the old crutch and stuff. So, right, okay, I didn't know that. Cool.
So Damien Priest conveniently waited to come out till after they'd done the damage on the leg. He thought he would leave it and then come out afterwards. Not really normally what happens, to be honest, when wrestlers get saved.
Play music.
Yeah, there we are.
You've got to do your little dance on stage first, and then you've got to come down, right? Yes, I just did a Jeff Hardy on there.
He waited a long time, that's all I can say. So he then ran down, and then obviously Liv and Dom run off like they normally do. Yeah. So the next bit was American Made versus Alpha Academy. American Made did pick up the win. Chad Gable comes out from the commentary desk at the end and said last week it was supposed to be a classic one-on-one between me and Uncle Howdy, but he'd got his freak show of the family involved. He then called out Uncle Howdy for an 8-man tag match between 4 of them and 4 of the Wyatt 6. Uncle Howdy comes out, does a little tribute to Bray Wyatt, referencing 365 years, which years. That's a long time, isn't it?
It's a long time.
3.5 lifetimes. So, referencing the 365 days that it was, I believe, on the actual day of All In was the year of his passing. So obviously they didn't have a show on that Sunday. And then it was just focused on the match between the 2 of them the week after. So I thought that was really important. They did that and really good. He then accepts the challenge, and it also became a street fight at the same time. So it's an 8-man tag street match, street fight match, which I'm not sure I really ever heard of before, but I'm down for it. Zelina Vega and Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler won that one. Rhea then is shown in the back on the crutch, and I've put for dramatic effect because she probably wasn't hurt at all. But yeah, dramatic effect crutch.
I know you might be surprised me to tell you this, mate, but it might be a bit staged and stuff.
Really? I didn't know that.
I know.
I can't believe that.
I was talking to someone when I went from work about going to see the wrestling and stuff. I've been to Wembley. You know it's not real, right? I was like, what? No. Nah.
I thought all this time for 30 plus years that it was all real.
I was devastated, mate. Really.
Yeah, I know. When somebody tells you that, but I do like that argument because my family will say it, for example. And then when I've been watching it, and there was that moment on AEW where Will Ospreay was out, and then Pat came and flipped him upside down and dropped him on his neck. And I remember the family being sat there, and I said, you know what? You say it's fake, but would you like to be on the receiving end of that? And they said,
and then you got the trampoline out, and you did. You got your mum, and then
backyard wrestling.
Over. That's it.
Yeah, backyard
available
balls.
on Patreon, right?
Yeah.
Above my head, guys.
Yeah, well, that's a good segment. Good segment away there. You'll also find all the videos that YouTube have taken down, and they'll be on there too. So yeah, the resounding answer the resounding answer to that was, no, I wouldn't really fancy that. So I said, well, stop with it. It's all fake then. So CM Punk then comes down to the ring. He was really good on the mic, as he always is. Mentions Gunther, calls him out, stands on the announce table, which is a weird place to put yourself. So he stands on the announce table, and then lo and behold, Drew McIntyre comes out and takes him out. Wade Barrett steps in to try and stop Drew and say, you don't want to get a suspension or a fine. But that doesn't stop him. He puts a one on CM Punk, puts him back in the ring. Security at this point are in the ring, but they're just leaving him to it, so it's pointless them being there. So he then says, hold on a minute, let me do this. Takes the bracelet back off CM Punk. You think, oh, it's the saga of the bracelet again. And then takes one look at the bracelet and snaps it in half. So that's the end of Bracelet Gate.
We hardly knew you, Bracelet. We hardly knew you.
The end of Bracelet Gate. I'm quite pleased that is the end of Bracelet Gate, to be honest. It was getting a little bit tiresome.
Yeah.
Punk is then stretchered out, although he didn't really need a stretcher. He wasn't really beaten up.
What?
Backstage.
Wasn't beaten? What? Looked real to me.
So backstage, he's then got a neck brace on again for dramatic effect. I feel like I'm breaking the fourth wall, even though I'm not. And yeah, it takes off.
Do I have your attention now?
Feel like one of those wrestlers that comes on YouTube and tells you like the things that they like that you don't know that you and the big exclusive. So
God, Granny, sorry.
Backstage, CM Punk's all laid out with a neck brace. Drew comes back, takes off the neck brace, does a little bit of
a nice massage.
Yeah, a bit of a massage, and then it finished with a double eye poke. That was the happy ending.
Oh, okay. So they're going to do an eye for an eye match.
Yeah, hey. It was a weird segment, I must admit. Then the number one contenders tournament for the IC title was on Raw. It was Dominic Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Ilya Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov won that one. So we found out that it would be Jey Uso, Pete Dunne, Ilya Dragunov versus ... for a fatal four-way, for the winner obviously being the number one contender. The tag titles were then defended. They weren't defended at all. It was a number one contenders match, which Alba Fire and Nyla Dawn won. So they'll be fighting Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. It's good that Guna Gavrin's tuning in. How about it?
I know. What's the price?
I know.
They're a good channel. You should watch them.
Yeah, I think you should.
Had this handsome young man to my left on it. It's great.
Oh yeah, it's very positive.
Oh yeah,
it's very positive. So Gunther then comes into the ring. At this point, I was already yawning before he picked up the microphone. Sami Zayn,
then world champion again.
Sami Zayn then interrupts him and calls a title shot. Gunther says, "Nah, you're all right, mate."
No, it's all right, son. We don't do that. No.
Yeah, it's exactly how he sounded. So then we found out
Federation.
We then found out that it would have been Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, and Bronson Reed. That would have been in the IC title for the last spot, but obviously Bronson Reed's all banged up. Although I'm not sure how, because Braun Strowman had it worse. And go on.
He's got COVID.
Oh, was he? Oh, that makes sense. Okay. That's why he was.
I mean, it's really retro these days to go down with COVID, but it's what the kids are doing, so that's good.
I suppose when
Hope he's doing
people
all right. Not fun at
when
all.
people sweat and blood and guts and all sorts,
That's an AEW thing, mate. You can't say that one. Raw.
Yeah. Oh well. Mix the two. Maybe that'll be a game one day.
20 men getting together. Oh.
Maybe it won't be SmackDown versus Raw. It will be AEW versus WWE. That'd be quite cool in a video game.
Literally a blood and guts match where everything just comes out like that. Disgusting.
So, Braun Strowman came to the GM and said, "I'm okay. Medical says I'm okay. Let me in the match." Even though he said he'd been all day painstakingly talking to all the wrestlers about who would get that final spot, but Braun Strowman can just walk in and say, "I'm in it," and that whole day.
You're not going to argue with him, are you?
No,
I wouldn't.
To be honest, you're right.
All right, Braun, lad, off you go.
So he then adds himself to the match, and Lord behold, he wins it. So we now have a fourth member of that match. We'll find out the results of that next week. The main event was Jey Uso and Dominic Priest versus Finn Balor and JD. And Jey Uso and Dominic Priest won that. It wasn't really that exciting. So that's all.
Jey Uso and Dominic Priest.
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time.
Did you do it again? You did it again.
I do that all the time.
Was it my hearing going or what?
No, I do that all the time. It's just a normal thing now. So SmackDown, you could have guessed it. They again showed a recap of Bash in Berlin, even though it was like a week and a bit ago, and everybody's probably seen it 20 times over, but they presume that nobody's seen it. So they're open with that again. Cody Rhodes started the night praising KO for a tough match and welcomes Michael Cole back onto SmackDown. The Bloodline then interrupt, but Solo tells them to wait on the outside as he wants to speak to Cody one-on-one. Cody says that it's Jacob Fatu that deserves the title shot and not you, Solo. Solo obviously is not really happy about that. He's kind of like, well, you're not my friend anymore. So I'm going to take my ball home. Yeah, I'm not my friend anymore. I'm going to take my ball home, so none of you can enjoy it anymore.
I'm not going to play anymore.
Monopoly board flip moment.
Oh no! Park Lane.
60 card pickup when you're losing at cards. There's quite a few of them, you know.
Yeah.
So he didn't like that very much. Stares him down and doesn't say anything else until Cody acknowledges him as the tribal chief. Street Profits and DIY then come down to support Cody, so it's a little bit more fair game. Nick Aldis then made sure it never properly kicked off by booking Cody and Solo for a title next week inside a cage. So that's quite exciting.
That means, do you know what that means? It means there'll be no interference in that match at all by the Bloodline or anybody outside, because no one can possibly get into a steel cage.
No, absolutely not. That's never happened before. Everybody's managed to stay on the outside if you want the people wrestling. Bailey then beat Tiffany Stratton, and then we had
that's a return, isn't it? Isn't it for Bailey? She'd been out for a while, right?
Yep. I did definitely put that on my notes down. That was what I was going to say next, actually. So,
you're welcome.
So next up, we had Giovanni Vici coming back. My instant thoughts were in the picture that they had on Bleacher Report. He looked like the character that you make on the WWE 2K story modes.
Right.
he hasn't been in a match since being kicked out of Imperium. So the WWE were trying their best to repackage him into something that they had with the character in NXT. But before he could even get his ring gear off, he was rolled up for a quick pin. So that was the end of that one.
Yeah, that's called long-term storytelling, I think.
Make that one make sense.
Good luck, guys.
So, Kevin Owens, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory was the next match. Kevin Owens put himself in this match, which is a bit weird, but he ended up winning. There seemed to be lots of bizarre moments on this week.
Yeah. I've got something to add on this. The Cell, the Stunner, was so good.
Oh, was it? I didn't see it.
Oh, no. It's one of them all-time greats. He did one of them dramatic sort of Scott Hall-like flips. It was great.
Oh, wonderful. Just what you want.
There you go.
So, Chelsea Green and Mia Yim was the next match. Chelsea Green won that. And then, believe it or not, the last match was the Bloodline versus DIY and the Street Profits. You would have never guessed it.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, unbelievable storytelling.
Yeah.
Bloodline won that one. That's, again, no surprise.
Who'd have thought?
So, that was the last episode of SmackDown on the current network provider in the States.
That's Fox, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't a great end to their run on there. But obviously the next week's one's got some big things on it. So I suppose the doesn't really matter for your last one on a broadcasting provider. Providing that your first one on the next broadcaster is good and also not trash. So
I have to deal with my daughter a little bit here. I think
that's all good.
Yeah, bless her. She's tired. She kicked me out of bed this morning, guys, at about 3 o'clock this morning. I'm not happy. I'm doing more hours than Hulk Hogan does in a year. He works 400 days a year. That's a true quote from him. Yeah, well, I won't mention him again. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's that's one that we'll brush past really quickly. So Daniel Garcia started this episode of AEW. He calls out MJF and says, "I want to break your neck right here." Always,
nice,
that's just normal. That's just run of the mill type things, isn't it? You just go around in the street and just tell everybody. Instead of mourning, you say, "Can I break your neck?"
Hello, work colleague. Can I go and break your neck, please?
Member of the general public comes up to you. What can you help me to find where the bread is? Well, I'll tell you, but can I break your neck?
Spoons!
So MJF appears. That would be quite a cool story. How did you get fired from your job? Well, had an idea that I would break a customer's neck and see how it went down.
Yeah. It's all for a storyline.
It's part of a bigger picture.
It's the bread line.
Yeah.
There you go. I credit to possibility on that gag.
So MJF then appears from the crowd drinking what looks like wine, but I'm pretty sure it's not wine. He was sat down chilling with a drink in his hand. He said that the reason why he wasn't coming down to the ring and why he was sat in the crowd was that he wanted to cover the canvas in blood and break his pencil neck. So yeah, really nice words to start off AEW. Fantastic family show that AEW portrays that it is. Just normal kind of what you would hear. MJF then went on.
You should do an edit on this show later on, mate. With some shorts. You should do.
I know. MJF says, "I don't hit people from behind like a coward."
Ooh,
And as I was watching that, I was thinking, well, I'm pretty sure you do, and you're pretty sure you do that all the time, but we'll just go with
I
it.
think that's called irony, isn't it?
I don't know. He seemed deadly serious when he was saying it, to be honest. He said then that he sure doesn't do it whilst looking like this. I had to do some research for this. He said, I am damn sure that he doesn't do it to looking like an emancipated skinhead hooked on Ozempic. So I had to do, a what is what I said. So the word emancipated. I think it's emancipated.
Just
basically
be careful with your pronunciation. It's very careful there. You've got to be careful here.
So apparently this means that a person is thin or weak because of illness or lack of food. He then said he's hooked on a drug that I looked up. It is an anti-diabetic medication used for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. So that was a bizarre segment.
Highbrow stuff, this.
Yeah, not something that I'd heard before. So Daniel Garcia then said, everything is fake, from your tan to the makeup on your face to cover up your acne, from the trip you took to Turkey to get your hair transplant that didn't even work. But the thing that makes me sick about you is the fakest thing about you is your fake love that you have for AEW. Thought that was quite a strong statement.
Yeah.
And went on to back and forth. He then said, Max, your child is going to ask you, Daddy, were you a wrestler? And you're going to have to say the truest statement that you will ever said. Hey, Amy.
Say hello, Sam. Say hello, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
Truest statement that you've ever said in your life was that I was a wrestler until Daniel Garcia ended my career. So yeah, this was I really enjoyed this. I think this is one of my promos of the year. So he then goes on to say that the fans did love me. Then I got too big, and like rats, Danny, they turned on me. You don't want their love, Danny. You don't want their affection. You don't want to win championship gold. The more you rise up in this sport, the more these fickle will want to watch you fall. It starts with a B and ends with an S. You can fill in the rest. I am then, yeah, I did do that on purpose. I am going to protect you, Danny, by putting you in a wheelchair. He speaks about Danny's mum looking after him while he's laid up. And he said, Lord knows you won't be the first man lying on their back in a bed that she will happily attend to.
Oh, thank you very much for that nice comment, mate. Yeah, cheers.
You guys thinking about wrestling all day, every day? No, I don't actually. I go to work like Lee does as well.
Yeah. I'm a daddy as well. You've seen my daughter just a minute ago. Just take his comment down, mate. You don't need to keep it up there.
Oh yeah, no. It just makes me laugh because that person has come to a wrestling channel to watch things about wrestling to then say you talk about wrestling. Well, yeah obviously.
But who's the winner? Who's the winner? Because it's all engagement with the algorithm, so you just get an interest. So cheers, mate.
Yeah, it's just bizarre when people do things like that. That's why I wanted to put it on, because it's just, if you don't want to watch something about wrestling, you don't watch it. It's quite simple. If I don't want to watch something about, I don't know, tortoises, I don't have to watch it.
No.
You chose to spend a part of your day to come into a stream to watch about wrestling. So you do you, Chief.
Yeah.
So I am.
Don't forget to like.
He's probably
I nearly
subscribed.
said-
That's the funny thing about it.
He's come back for some more.
Oh, he has. He has. We had a joke about that earlier on. It's funny you missed it.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I never knew that wrestling was fake.
Can
All
I just
this
tell
time.
you? Let me just handle this.
Hmm.
You do know that Coronation Street isn't real, right? I know. That's a shocking revelation, right? Star Trek, that isn't real either. What do you think we are? It's a show. My daughter's here. I nearly said something I shouldn't have done. But
Yeah,
we're in on the joke, mate. You know you're in the rest. You're the outsider here, dude. Thanks for popping by.
Thanks for popping in. Make sure you subscribe before you clear off. So where was I at? So he said that Lord knows you won't be the first man lying on your back in her bed that she'll happily attend to. So that was one for the old humor books. But yeah, that was a match that I wasn't excited about before that promo. That was one of the best promos of the year / that I've seen in a long time. Because when things are original like that, it's not your run-of-the-mill kind of you're rubbish, I'm rubbish, I'm going to beat you up, you're going to beat me up.
In a rubbish
somebody else.
Man.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. So Okada then retained his title, which was obvious because he'd got a 4-way match for the title in a few days' time. So Jamie Hayter then beat someone called Robin Renegade, who I hadn't seen on AEW programming before that.
That sounds like someone bought in like enhancement talent, I would imagine.
Yeah. It didn't really do anything. Apart from give her the win.
Hater won, yeah.
Yeah, give her the win before the match even started.
What she needed.
Yeah, which was good. So that's obviously something that will build up over the next couple of weeks. We then found out that John Moxley came out, but he didn't come out to Wild Thing. He came out to just some random music with no words, which was a bit bizarre. I thought Wild Thing was quite a good one for him because of obviously his style of wrestling. But then also, I think it was when that music hit, people were quite fearful, if that makes sense, because he is who he is. He's a
unhinged.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's Moxley.
He then goes on some time praising Darby Allin, but then goes on to say that he wants to talk to him and doesn't want to apply any more pressure than he needs to. So just talk to him, man. So yeah, that was that.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah. Mariah May then retained her championship against Nyla Rose, which again you could have guessed. Mercedes Moné
2 weeks ago. So.
Yeah, Mercedes Moné then comes out talking rubbish as per usual.
You're a big fan of Mercedes, aren't you?
Massive, huge fan. Colossal. What was quite cool though, her opponent for All Out, Shida, came on the screen and said, "I know you know some Japanese," and said "bye bitch" in Japanese, which was quite cool.
Okay. Do you want to know?
So that was.
Hey Google, how'd you say in Japanese?
It was actually something like quite simple, but I should have written it down. What a shame I haven't.
Never mind.
So there was then a trios match between Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay, and Kyle O'Reilly, and Blackpool Combat Club. Blackpool Combat Club won, and then the Young Bucks came out at the end and they announced the match for. I put All In, but it was All Out. It's all confusing. It's either out or in.
Shake it all about.
Yeah, it's either out or in, if you pardon the pun. So Swerve then comes down to the ring. His entrance music plays. So Swerve comes down to the ring for the contract signing. And Tony Schiavone stood there and he's like, introducing Adam Page.
Uh-oh.
The music hits. Nothing happens. He waits for a minute for dramatic effect and then goes again. Hangman Adam Page.
I like the fact we both did the opposite arms. That was great. I like that.
Nothing happened again. So on comes Hangman Page on the screen in what looks like a house. So,
a house-like structure.
A house-like structure, yes. So we eventually find out that he's on the inside of Swerve Strickland's childhood home. Basically, he says that you shouldn't have given me this idea. You shouldn't have told me about it. This is why I'm here. Goes on to slander his family a little bit, saying his dad regrets Avenue and all that stuff that you normally do when you talk about family. Nice. On a wrestling show, that is, not in real life.
What?
What a wonderful world. No, it's not. I hate to break it to you, but I know we think about it.
Let me write a comment on the YouTube page.
I do know, like, even though we think about it all day, every day, and think about nothing else other than it, unfortunately, it's not real life.
Damn it.
So saying that your dad regrets having you, and what a wonderful world. It's funny, after those two comments, he's not commented again. That's bizarre, isn't it?
No, I know.
So he says, what a wonderful world it would be if you'd never been born. He starts then putting gasoline down on the floors, which is not a good sign. And there is nothing more that I want than to burn your world to the ground. He then sits on a chair. Yeah. It almost reminded me of the old Wyatt family promos where he just sat on a chair outside a house that could or could not be Swerve Strickland's childhood home, or it could be just a film set. Not his house anymore, is it? No. I did go and do some Googling after to see if it was an actual house, if it was a film set, but nobody actually knows that fact. No. So the one thing
for dramatic effect.
Yeah. So one thing that it did say, because they were still trying to make out that it was completely real, is that him flicking the match didn't set the whole fire, like the house alight, because he was miles away from the house, so it wouldn't have done that anyway. Right. So he did need other people. Again, this is where I hate to break it to people. You've got a team of people actually doing the cameras and behind the scenes, if you didn't already know.
What? You mean that? I don't understand. It looked completely right and not arson at all.
I'm pretty sure AEW have a budget, but they don't have a budget to start blowing up and setting fire to random houses in neighborhoods.
No. Perhaps not.
But again, it's Tony Khan. Anything could be possible. Yeah. So that was the end of that, with Swerve in the ring for dramatic effect going, oh my God, that's my family house. How could you do that?
Darn you!
It was almost like
that's a little homage to someone I'm going to pay tribute to in a bit.
It was almost like it was all for storyline purposes, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Very confusing. So All Out was last night. So my notes are very brief because I was finishing watching the main event as I was starting this show. So MJF and Daniel Garcia kicked off the night. Like I say, the build up to this has been fantastic. So it had a lot to live up to, which it did. Very physical battle. Garcia's head was bandaged after Dynamite because of the bit I missed out. At the end, he sat next to a laid out Daniel Garcia with like blood all over his head. So he was bandaged again on his head for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in the match where MJF pulled off the bandage and bit his head to open up the wound again, which was bizarre. But
I mean, he should have had something in catering, I think.
You would have thought so. But maybe that's his sort of thing. I don't know.
Oh, I've got it. I know what it is. He's going to do another character. He's going to be a vampire. He's going to be another Gangrel.
Oh God. Sometimes sometimes MJF, AEW, that whole company do things where I just sit there and go, what's the point of that? So I think taking off the bandage would have been enough, but hey ho, one step further. The match finished when MJF set up a corner tombstone, but Garcia escaped it and hit a big DDT. In MJF fashion, he won with a low blow behind the referee's back. MJF offered Garcia a handshake, but Garcia knew what he was doing with a low blow himself. He actually then spat on him, which is a bit weird. Not something I'm a fan of, because, like I say, as much as we think, oh, it's great, actually kids are watching this at some point, and that's not fantastic for them to be seen doing. The next morning, it's not great. That was my instant thought anyway. And he then hit a corner pile driver. So that was the end of that one.
It looked nasty as well, by the way. Really nasty on the fall. But it's a good way of writing him off for a bit, I suppose.
I suppose it is. Young Bucks and Blackpool Combat Club, all over. They all came off really well. It was at a good pace, not too chaotic, but at the same time, it seemed enough. It was an okay match, nothing really amazing, but not also bad. So it's somewhere in the middle. The Bucks retained. Will Ospreay and Pac. This was my fight of the night by a country mile. If you've got time to only go and watch one match back from the pay-per-view, it'd be this one. Will Ospreay looked amazing as always, but I do think it massively increases Pac stock as well. There were so many crazy spots, but Will obviously retained. Backstage segment after where Will was basically calling out Ricochet and said, get a few wins under your belt and then come for my title.
He's only been there 2 weeks, give him a break.
He then said that he would happily have a rematch with Pac if he decides that. So William Nightingale and Chris Statlander was the next match, Chicago Street Fight. It was great fun, to be fair. It's probably my third favourite match. It was my second, but then I saw the main event, so it went down to third. It will do massive things for both of them, and I really hope they continue this story arc. I think it's got a lot of weight still left in it, especially after this match as well. There was then the four-way match with Okada, Orange Cassidy, Takeshita, and Briscoe, which I always get this wrong around because there's one of them that unfortunately passed away, isn't there? And then there's one that's still with us. Is it?
Mark is the one that's in Ring of Honor, isn't it? And it was the other one that passed away. Yeah.
So he was in the match as well.
Jay
again,
Briscoe, that's right.
Yeah. So again, it was very much like the Bucks and the Blackpool Combat Club. It was okay, not bad, somewhere in the middle. There was brilliant exchanges with Okada and Takeshita towards the end, which was definitely the highlight of the match. And Okada went on to retain. And then my favourite wrestler in the universe was up next.
Was it Mercedes Moné?
Oh, how did you guess?
Just by your tone.
She was up against Shida, of course. I have a line for this match. Easily the weakest match of the night. Moné retained. I can't just suddenly say that the matches are amazing after how much I slander her. So it could have been the best match in the world, but I had to say it was rubbish. So we then went on to the co-main event, Bryan Danielson and Jack Perry. Great match to watch. Both came across really well. At the end, it looked like Christian Cage was going to cash in, but the Blackpool Combat Club stopped him. They then turned on Bryan Danielson though and suffocated him with a plastic bag over his face, which was a bizarre moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are we missing the Claudio turn here?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I did write these notes up, like rushing to actually get them done just before we came on air. So probably.
Yeah, I think Claudio turned heel here. So, but just going by what I've heard and read, because he hit someone with an uppercut, didn't he?
Potentially. I had to cram so much in today that I
That's okay.
was watching it on and off. So we got to the main event, which obviously everyone was really excited about. They were held in separate locker rooms throughout the pay-per-view for their own safety, apparently. But it was just a kind of, again, dramatic effect. Storylines, who would have guessed it? So instead of actually calling this match kind of what it was, I decided to instead make a list of all the things that were used. So we had a staple gun, which was used in both of their backs and in their ribs.
I did like the way Swerve no-sold it. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. He was just like pulling him out his skin and not flinching. Like,
that's normal.
He then stapled a picture of Swerve's family to Hangman Adam Page, which was quite cool. They used cinder blocks, which they both fell on. That's a very American term, cinder blocks, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
They're just like bits of concrete for us, bricks, stuff like that. But,
cinder blocks is good though, because it's got a few syllables in it. It's good.
Yeah. There was then barbed wire. There was tables. There was a massive piece of sharp wood that was supposedly taken from Swerve's childhood home, but I thought that burnt down.
It's just part of the ruins, mate. You got to follow the story.
And then
poor Swerve, all emotional using it as well.
Yeah, and then the weirdest two things. Well, this was certainly the weirdest thing I've seen all year. So Hangman Adam Page then got out a syringe.
Oh, God.
He opened up the syringe. Obviously, there was nothing in this syringe, but he then proceeded to jab it into the cheek of Swerve Strickland, which was one of the most bizarre things. And actually, as I was watching it, I went, oh.
I mean, normally you have to book a long time to get a dentist appointment, don't you? It's rare that you could actually get it done in the ring. I mean, to be honest, they've got a dentist there as well. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't use her.
So that was one of the most bizarre things. He then, after that, literally broke a chair in two over Swerve's head, which caused the ref to call the KO and end the match. That was the end of the pay-per-view.
I think they did something on the TV feed here as well, where they kind of cut it. I guess they would have gimmicked the chair in some way, but for dramatic effect, I think they cut the feed just for a second.
Yeah,
because obviously that was to numb your face and get smacked by an unprotected chair is going to hurt a bit. I would have thought
it's all.
Do you know
fake,
what?
Isn't it? It's all fake.
You know what?
Nothing.
It's considerate that he numbed the pain, though. You know that you got pros and cons.
Yeah, like I say, it's all completely fake. Nothing
and boring.
Hurts. It's just all like, I don't know. It's just all like laying down on the ring mat as if you're laying down and going to bed. That's how soft it is.
Yeah.
So that was that pay-per-view. I really enjoyed the pay-per-view. Obviously, it was a big build-up to it. There were some really good matches. So yeah, that's these last couple of weeks in wrestling. Unfortunately, while we were not had a show, we had another legend wrestler pass away, which I'll hand you over to Lee as this has become his little segments of the show.
Thank you very much, Sam. Cheers, mate. So there we go. Yeah, it's sad to see another wrestling legend pass away, and unfortunately, over the weekend of All In, we lost. His name's Sidney Udy, or Sid Justice, or Sid Vicious, or Psycho Sid. You might know him for one of them big man wrestlers who. Well, he actually headlined 2 WrestleManias, WrestleMania 8 against the Hulkster, and WrestleMania 13 against The Undertaker. Of course, had runs in the old WWF and WCW. His former 6-time heavyweight champion. There's so much you could talk about Sid, but sometimes it's sometimes easy to say what the fun things that you've done, and it may be not intentional, but for all his physical abilities, sometimes he would have the funniest moments on the stick, and unintentionally, of course, the moment where he got ribbed somewhat by the Outsiders on WCW. I kind of joked with this with Sam on our group chat, saying, "Oh, you know, you're half the man I am, but I've got half the brain that you do." Classic line, obviously. Sid was awfully entertaining. Oh, you know what I didn't mention? One of the very few people, obviously, to kick out a Hogan's leg drop clean. Yeah, WrestleMania 8, where the ending was botched thanks to oh goodness me, what was his name now? Papa Shango. That's correct. That's right. What else can I talk about? I think one of our most recent-ish sort of memories of him was when he did come back to Raw, and they were doing Raw 1000, and Heath Slater was going through Wrestling the Legends in preparation for that event, and I remember Heath saying, "Oh, I'm the master and ruler of the world," or something. Obviously, Sid's gimmick, and then Sid came out and gave him a decent squash match in about 3-4 minutes, finishing off with that power bomb that Sid had. I would say that's a bit of Sid's career was obviously curtailed by a very foolish decision by the people at WCW to try and make Sid do something from the aerial standpoint. They tried him doing a like off the second rope, a big boot connected. I think this was on the Sin pay-per-view, one of WCW's Dying Days pay-per-view, and you see him connect with the kick, and it's one of the most gruesome things you'll ever see, where he broke his leg. And bad thing, this was in a 4-way match, and they carried on the match around him. It was awful, but yeah, he managed to fix himself up again. Not only was Sid really good in the wrestling ring, he had a passion for softball as well. He tended to take time out of wrestling to do the other sport that he really enjoyed. But you know, there are other instances. Of course, there was an incident where he went after Arn Anderson, which is well publicized. But even Big Arn paid tribute to him over the last couple of days. I saw. Of course, Sid was part of the Four Horsemen as well, so there was a connection there. But yeah, just in concluding here, Psycho Sid will never be forgotten. Should have been in Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned a long time ago. I don't think he's currently there. He'd probably be posthumously included, I would imagine, next year. But yeah, it's a sad loss for someone who made such an impact in the early going, certainly in WWF, and obviously continued that in between reigns in WCW as well. So at 63, I believe he was. Yes, he passed away. His son made the announcement. So yeah, let's thoughts to with Sid's family and people who work with him as well. Is yeah, be a big loss to the wrestling business. Let me bring Sam back if I can. Sam, are you there? There he is.
I'm here.
Magic of television, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's So yeah, like we said before, I think it's always important that we have that little segment. Unfortunately, it seems like over the last couple of weeks and the last couple of months, we've been doing that quite a lot, though.
Absolutely.
So
we lost the other member of the World Samoas as well, didn't we?
that was that wasn't long ago, was it? So I feel like we're doing that a lot, which it's unfortunate.
It's sad, but it's also nice to celebrate their people's careers and their memories. That's the important thing, isn't it? Especially with Sid, who had such an era about him, such the way he spoke. That's almost that sinister side, almost Jake the Snake like in the way he conducted his promos and stuff. It was almost, he didn't have to yell, shout, and scream. He'd be quite menacing, and how he spoke directly down the microphone. And again, a powerful man, even against big guys in that era as well, like the Undertaker and stuff like that. He can get him up for the big power bomb move. It's always fun to watch. Great. I won't say he's one of the all-time great workhorses, but what he done, he had a role to play, and for matches that would have been about 10 minutes or thereabouts, he could put on a decent show for people, and he'll be really missed.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's it. I have managed to say that it would take this length of time, which is probably the first time I've ever done that.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you would like to shout out before I do the normal exit proceeding?
Absolutely. For those who are not familiar with me, my name's Lee Meadows, Gooner Lee Meads. You might know me on Twitter. I am the founding father, as the moniker's been given to me, on Gooner Gatherings YouTube channel. That is my channel where we talk Arsenal. We're very much a family-friendly channel, and we would talk things all about, from all areas of the club, from the first team to the ladies to the academy, and generally have a good time, and more often than not, a good debate between us. There's the channel there, Gooner Gathering. You can search for it on the YouTube search bar after we've finished here. So of course, we're on the Twitch as well. So same name, Gooner Gathering. So always fun helping out in Wrestle Dogs as well. Make sure you check out the merchandise that was in the bit below us, and you can subscribe, of course, to the Patreon chat page, patreon.com/WrestleDogs.
Well, that's half of my work done.
You're welcome.
So that's me. That's where you'll find me on my Twitch, which I'm getting back into slowly. My Instagram. You don't really need my X or Twitter because I never do anything on there.
Apart from follow Posh Bertie and
follow Posh and watch his rants, which is fantastic to see. Because me and him are very alike in that sense, I think. So, so that's that. We've come to another week. We should be consistently coming on every Sunday now, unless something comes up.
Right.
So this time
I've got an idea, Sam.
Go on.
So you never got to sing out Judas on Wembley Stadium. So I was thinking.
Bye everyone. Stream's ending. Bye.
You are
Bye,
beautiful on the